Hello and welcome. This is the Market Wrap. I am Agam Vakil. Well, we've seen the benchmarks advance today, and I wouldn't really say that we've seen a recovery of all the losses that we made yesterday, but it's a recovery all the same, with the Nifty moving back about 10,100 and defending that level to a certain extent. We've seen the benchmarks advance by nearly 1% on the back of banks, which would include IndusInd and Axis Bank, Hindalco Industries, as well and perhaps Kotak Mahindra Bank. So these are some of the key stocks out there which have laid the gains as far as the gains on the benchmark indices are concerned. But when it comes to the losing end, we also have weakness in Hero MotoCorp, GAIL, Coal India, and Bajaj Auto, weighing down on the indices. When it comes to the broader markets, on the NSE 500, it's again, three gainers for two losers on the NSE 500, with the likes of Dishman Carbogen once again leading the gains, locked in a second upper circuit of 20%. RBL Bank showing a lot of strength in today's day of trade, as was the case for Kaplan Point Laboratories. Time Technoplast, Granules India, as well as SH Kelkar, all advancing with good gains and momentum. In fact, double-digit gains for all of them today. On the losing end, PVR continues to weaken further after yesterday's fall, and as was the case for Inox Leisure. So both these companies are under a tremendous amount of pressure, and the selling pressure in Chalet Hotels, which has been ever so strong of late, continues for the second straight day too. So we have weakness in SpiceJet, Bombay Dyeing, Avas Financiers, as well as something like a Divan Housing Finance. So that's how things are laid out in the broader markets. But let me get in our markets editor, Neeraj Shah, for his thoughts on how things and how he reads things. Neeraj, good morning, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Agam, and I'm really looking forward to the derivative data piece from Agam as well today. But it was interesting in that the analysis proved wrong, right? Stronger hands put the index higher. Agam outlined all the kind of nifty names. Just look at the pattern of names. Yes, there was an IndusInd out there, and you have to argue that some of those IndusInd RBL kind of names moved ahead. But just look at the list of gainers, which had Reliance Industries, Kotak, HDFC, TCS. The the good blue chip names did go up and give that support to the index, and the bank nifty clearly did what it did. But the beauty was that, quite unlike yesterday and this morning, you were doing the analysis of how the market breadth was so bad. It just turned around completely, and mid cap pharma led an up move today. I mean, what an up move it was! You just look at the mid cap and small cap pharma index on a day like this, when the bank nifty is up 2%, for those stocks to gain about 15, 16, 17% was not a joke. I mean, Unichem, Kaplan Point, Granules India, and I was looking at the volumes out here on Unichem. I think, let me just pull out the volume figure on the National Stock Exchange, wherein the volumes were higher. Unichem Lab volumes were 8 times the 30-day average. Granules India some 5 times the 10-day average. So these stocks went up on very high volumes. It'll be interesting to see the delivery data too. But yeah, I mean, mid-cap pharma and mid-cap financials were in a bit of a frenzy, and there was some serious buying that we saw in that pocket. But I'm just wondering, I mean, the start of the series, there was a remarkable divergence between what the index levels could look like. How is it shaping up now?
Well, it's very interesting considering we've seen those gains today, and given the fact that we are looking at a weekly expiry tomorrow, there is a considerable amount of writing in the 10,000 put. In fact, it's added 10 lakh shares, which also makes the 10,000 put for tomorrow's expiry as the one with the maximum open interest, which means that it is going to be tough for a lot of those bears to take out that level. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it certainly does seem tough with the kind of writing that we've seen. So on the lower end, at least as far as tomorrow's expiry goes, well, 10,000 seems to be a sort of a base. In the relatively longer term, of course, we are watching out for 10,500 on the higher end, and on the lower end it will be 9,500. But as far as tomorrow goes, it is going to be 10,000, which will provide the base as far as trade tomorrow and the weekly options expiry is concerned.
Just viewers, keep in mind, I mean, for now, I think a lot of people are rejoicing based on the numbers that are coming out for the Jan to March quarter, and that may not necessarily be the right way to look at things, right? I mean, look at PVR and Inox, and those two companies are an example of how the market is treating post those numbers coming out bad. So PVR and Inox couldn't do well. and they are down in today's session too. And remember, they didn't do well only on basis of the 7 days of shutdown or 10 days of shutdown, whatever you call it. Imagine what will happen in the April to June quarter when those numbers get released in July. Yes, commentaries are important, but I think the market needs to take cognizance of the fact the worst quarter is the one that we are in currently right now. There's a rally out there. There's a bit of a risk-on mood right now. Let's see if that lasts, if the global markets were to turn around. For now, those markets too are doing okay. And therefore, there is a risk-on mood generally, save for PVR and ANOX, which are, of course, correcting. I'm just pulling these two examples out to tell our viewers how you should be wary of what will happen to companies which disappoint even on one count, as these two have done. And therefore, even though they had a bit of a pullback the last 2 or 3 days, they've had a dramatic fall, 15, 16, 17, 18%, and they don't give you a chance to get out, unfortunately, after the gap down happens on open. So just be mindful of that. But interesting days ahead. But today we had one auto name. Most of the FMCG names are out. Some of the other auto names and some of the metal names will come out, and we'll look out for all of those earnings as well.
Yeah, so those are some tough earnings. I'm sure the markets understands that, Neeraj. But thank you so much for that perspective. And on that note, it's a wrap on the markets for the As Lost My Lineup. Stay tuned to Bloomberg Quint, and we'll keep getting you more.